Hey everybody, this is Scott Roller. Today we're talking about creating model-driven power apps in the Dataverse. I've created this article or wrote this article a little while ago that's on my blog site, 365-thoughts.com. So you can go check that out if you want to as well. But I wanted to create this supporting video over the same topic, just in case people like getting content in different ways. So what we're talking about today are these model driven power apps. And in my mind, classically, model driven apps have been used in Microsoft Dynamics 365. So these would be things like sales or marketing, customer service, and field service. These are first party apps that Microsoft created that have a lot of bells and whistles, have pre built forms and views, maybe even some uh, business process flows, really nice and built out, but they can be kind of expensive. And a lot of times people don't need all those bells and whistles. If they just need a simple power app to replace a legacy system that maybe they're wanting to replace, or building a brand new but simple business process for their end users. So generally, these new out of the box or um, custom created power apps are a little more simplified use case for collecting, searching, sharing, and even relating data to each other. It does require a Dataverse database, so that's important. And let's look at what it takes to create one of these simple model-driven apps. First, you need to, before any of this, go out and create a new tenant of Power Platform if you don't already have one. I'm going to use my developer tenant for this. And then when you go into Power Platform Admin Center, you can create new environments. I already have an environment that we're going to use today, but if you wanted to create a new one, you can click on the new button. You can give that environment a name, maybe choose a region, and even a type, whether it's sandbox or production or trial. But one of the most important things here to choose on your new environment is create a database for this environment. That's creating a brand new database in the Dataverse and allows you to save data, create new fields, forms, and views and things on your new Power App. I'm going to cancel out since I already have an environment that we're going to use. And then I'm going to go on over to make.powerapps.com. And you can see in here that there are many different apps that I have available. Some of these I've imported in as a part of a different solution, but I created this 365 Thoughts app that we can dive into and use today as our example. So if I go and I choose to edit this app, it will load the app for us. And we can start by looking at adding a new page. As you can see, I already have a couple pages here that I already added for accounts, activities, and contacts. But if we wanted to add a new one, it gives us a few choices. We can add the page from a Dataverse table, from a dashboard, or from a custom page. We've been talking about Dataverse, so let's create a new one from a Dataverse table. I'm going to choose next. And now it gives us that choice to either select an existing table, which I've done in our example here of choosing accounts, contacts, and activities, or we could create a brand new table if we wanted to and call it whatever we want. Maybe we call it, uh, cars or something like that. And we want to collect car data. And then we can create a bunch of new fields that would collect information about cars. Creating a new table is a little more time intensive. You have to create the table in the fields. So we're just going to select the existing table, go with the existing tables that I've selected before. I'm going to cancel out since we've already have done that. And now we can look at what a view means in the Maker portal. So now we can look at what the Maker portal looks like and how it behaves. In the Maker portal, we have pages that we were talking about before. We have the navigation, which is the navigation down the left side of the app that you're going to create and how it's organized. We can look at the data so we can see the different tables that are in our app. And we can also see the other tables that are available in the Dataverse. So all of these tables come with the Dataverse, and we could use them if we wanted to. Or, as we saw before, we could create our own table and have that be a part of our app. And then lastly, we have this automation, and we're going to talk about business process flow in a little bit later. But let's get back to pages. So in a page, there are several different things that we can look at uh, and edit if we want to. First of all, we have a view, which is a list, a filtered list of different records that we're looking at. So at the moment, we have the My Active Accounts list or view. And so that's made up of several different columns and then also a filter. So if I choose to go into the pages and accounts and views, and then over here on the right side, it'll load all the views that I have available. I can also come up to the top and just say edit view. And then that will load the edit window of the view that I was just in. And now we can see all of the columns that we had available before. These are the columns that we're choosing to display. And we can add new columns if you want to. And we can even change the orientation or the order of the columns that we already have. And over here on the right side, we can see that we also have the filter that's available, and we can refilter the view if we want to. Right now, this My Active Accounts view is filtered by owner equals current user and status is active. So let's get out of the views and let's talk about the forms then. So if we are on a view of records and we choose to drill down on one of these records, so I choose to drill down on this account record. Now this is a form. This is a form that shows the an organized view or an organized the field sections and tabs for this single individual account record. The tabs are along the top, so we have the summary and details tab. We could add more if we wanted to. And then the sections are inside of the form here where we have account information, address, we have a timeline, several different things, some information about contact. That would be all the sections. And then we have the individual fields, or sometimes as they're referred to as columns, from the database that we've thrown or placed on the form. And we can reorganize the form and choose to display it in any way that we want to. We can even create brand new fields to put on this form. So if I want to choose to edit this form, it'll take us into the form editor. And once this loads, we can see how this works. So it'll show us an editable version of the form. Over here on the right, we have all the other fields that we have in the Dataverse that we can choose to drag and drop onto our form anywhere that we want. We can change the description of the form. And we can even create new table columns, which are also fields, as I mentioned before. So we can create those new table columns. So if we create a new table column, what that allows us to do is give this a name. So once again, I might just give it a simple name like test. And then we can look at all the different data types that we have available to us. So we can do a text type of field, which can be a multi level field, or just maybe just a plain text field. A text area is what I was referring to about the multi level. We can get into numbers, so we can talk about whole numbers or decimals if we want to, and even time zones. There's different dates that are available, so we can get a date and time, or just a date only. We can look up to other records. So in our account contact scenario, we can have contacts that are related to an account. Those are all the individuals that roll up to the account level, and that would be a lookup. So we'd have a lookup from account to contact. We can have currency, and we can even have like auto number and some other things here. But these are all of our data types, and this is how we would create a brand new field or column that would then be um, available to put on our form and also in on our views. All right, so let's get out of here. We're going to leave the unsaved changes. We're going to come back over to our Maker portal. We're going to go to automation, and we're going to talk about business process flow. So I have one business process flow that I've created for accounts so far. We've called it key data. And the purpose of a business process flow is to guide the end users through a process. It can be a sales process, it could be really anything that you want it to be. But the purpose is to give them exactly what they need for the process and in each step. So here in my key data business process flow, in the basic step, we are collecting the primary contact, the phone number, and the website. So we've determined that these are the basic items that we need to have for an account. If we move on to address, this is just an easier way or a more direct way of getting to the address data. We can see that we have it down here below as well, but this is a reminder of we need to have this address data collected for this account. And then we can get into details. And this is kind of valuable because a lot of this information is on the next tab. So if we don't have to navigate to the next tab of details, we can get to it in the business process flow. And we can select things like industry or ownership directly here, and then it'll set the value for us on the form and in the Dataverse also. So, like I said before, this is a simplified version of the form or collecting the data. It really directs the end user to what's important and what the business wants them to collect. The next thing I'm not really going to show an example of, but I wanted to talk about briefly about classic workflows and Power Automate flow. So these are ways these are ways of automating processes in the system. You can have triggers and you can have different different tasks along the way that the automated process is going to do. In a classic workflow, normally that's usually triggered more within the application, where all of the processes happen in the application, and Power Automate can be that way as well. But also, it can have triggers inside and outside of Power Apps. You could have a website create a trigger that then does something in Power Apps via the Power Automate flow. So it's very powerful. And both of those are big topics that could be a whole blog or video of their own. So I'm going to leave it at that. So kind of at the end of our brief overview here of Power Apps, please once again go check out the article or respond if you have any questions. I'd be happy to do another video or respond to you one-on-one if with any questions. So the key takeaways here and the summary of what I wanted to talk about today is that you need to create that environment in the Power Platform Admin Center. Then you can start creating your apps in the App Maker portal. You can create tables and views, forms, and the different columns and fields that you need there. Place them on the fields and or on the forms and views as you need. And then after you've published that, then you have an app that looks something like this. This is the finished product, and this is outside of the Maker portal. This is what the app that I just created or showed you that I created would look like. We have, our views. We can drill down on a record. We have our forms here. We can see that we have our business process flow at the top. So that's about it. Thanks for joining me today. Once again, my name is Scott Roller. Go check out my blog at 365-thoughts.com and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to. And I will talk to you later. Thanks.